Hello friends, my name is Bruce Rhodes and I have the privilege of serving as the superintendent of the Southern Michigan Conference. In this week's Moment That Matters, I want us to reflect together on the phrase harvest season. This past spring I planted a little sweet corn. Okay, I planted a lot of sweet corn. A friend had loaned me an old 2-row corn planter and given me a big bag of seed. And I had a nice patch of soil all tilled up and ready to plant, so I began driving my tractor back and forth, sowing the seed. Once I completed the task, I looked up to see my beautiful bride standing with her hands on her hips, with a look of consternation on her face. I drove the tractor off the plot in her direction, and I idled the tractor down and said, "What?" And she said, "How much sweet corn did you plant?" And I said, "I don't know." So after I put the tractor away, I too was curious about how much corn I had planted. I was having such a good time with my tractor and corn planter that I planted 22 100-foot rows of sweet corn and 8 50-foot rows. If stretched out into a single row of corn, that row would stretch to about 2,600 linear feet, which is half a mile. Now, at 2,600 feet and assuming a planting rate of 3 seeds per linear foot, that equates to 7,800 stalks of corn, and if each stalk bears 2 ears, that's over 15,000 ears of corn. That equates to about 139 bushels of sweet corn, which is almost 4 tons. I guess I did plant a lot of corn. When I shared this illustration during my State of the Work report at our annual conference gathering this past June, I had a number of people indicate their interest to come and harvest some of the corn. In fact, some people did. Gerald and I probably put up about 4 bushels ourselves, and we probably had another 4 to 6 bushels harvested by friends. But sadly, although the crop was abundant, the harvest was minimal. The majority of corn was left to rot in the fields. Now in Luke 10:2, Jesus gave you and I something to pray about. He said, "The harvest is great, but the workers are few." So pray to the Lord who's in charge of the harvest. Ask Him to send more workers into His fields. When Jesus said the harvest was plentiful, but the workers were few, He was right, and the harvest is still plentiful, and we still need workers to go out of our barns/churches and into the field/communities. It's one thing to have spoiled, unharvested corn. That's sad. But it's quite another thing to have spoiled, unharvested souls. That's tragic. So how do we respond to the reality of the harvest being ripe all around us? I'd like to suggest 2 things. First, build a simple daily habit of prayer that Jesus would send workers into His fields. In fact, many of us have a daily reminder on our phone alarm at 10:02, whereby we simply stop and pray, asking for His Spirit to raise up and call out His people and His work. And second, we need to see ourselves as workers in the field. We all love sitting in the barns and hanging out with people there, but the harvest is outside, and it's not going to come into the barns unless we get outside to bring it in. Friends, you and I have been sent. May the Lord open our eyes to our calling and fill us with courage to enter into His work, because harvest season matters to God, and it must matter to us.